In this nitty-gritty Let's Play live stream, we're going to be playing American Mah Jongg at I Love Mahj. We're playing at I Love Mahj today because we're going to be talking about skill builders, and they have a wonderful exercise room. I'll be able to demonstrate some of the skill builders that I'm going to be sharing with you today. I want to say thank you so much to our moderators who are going to help monitor the chat while we focus on skill builders, and then we'll do gameplay with commentary with time permitting. Thank you so much for being here. Hi, Wes. Welcome. All right, so I'm going to share my screen and we'll get started with this presentation. And we're going to toggle back and forth between the presentation and I Love Mahj because I'm going to demonstrate the skill builders in between each one so you can see how it works. Hi, Nancy. All right, let's see. Present. And that's what we want. Okay, so now I'm going to use this layout here. Hello, Carol, welcome. Marilyn, hello. Oh, Evelyn, hello. Okay, so here we go, skill builders. This is what we're going to talk about today. And incidentally, every one of these you can do with your tiles at home. I have a wiki article on skill builders, and I'll make sure that there's a link in the video description below so that you can get to this wiki article that describes how to set it up, what the purpose is, basically everything I'm going to be sharing in this presentation. So you can access it outside this live stream. All right. And you can also do these online, which is what I'm going to demonstrate for you today. Here we go. The first thing I wanted to share, though, is what the stages are of skill development. The first stage is unconscious incompetence. The next stage is conscious incompetence, then conscious competence, and then unconscious competence. The key to progressing through the stages of skill development is repetition. So when you first begin to play Mahjong, you get through the fundamentals, and then you start working on skills and strategies. And at that beginning phase of your journey, you are going to be incompetent. Let's just say it like it is. You're going to be incompetent. You don't know what you don't know. I guess that's true regardless of where you are in your journey. But the next stage is when you come to understand where your skills are lacking. That will be the conscious incompetence stage. Then you're going to move into the competence arena after you have built some skills, and you're going to be aware of the skills that you've been able to adopt and incorporate into your playing style. And eventually you're going to be playing the game like it's written on the back of your hand. Is that how the saying goes? You're going to play the game with ease. Now, this game is complex, so it's going to take a lifetime to master. There's always going to be something to learn, but you will get to a place where you're going to be able to play the game with confidence, and that is when you hit that last stage of unconscious competence. But there's always room for growth. The first exercise that I recommend for beginners is category modeling. And this is when you learn how to play all the hands on the card. Actually, playing the hands on the card comes with time, but you can lay out your tiles and create every hand on the card. That is called category modeling. Category by category, you create each hand. And if you look at the card, in the parentheses, you see both limitation and sometimes flexibility. So look at the text in the parentheses and make adjustments to the hand that you've created so that you can see how the hand can look a little different in the end. you can see an example of the mock card. It's divided by category, and there's the parentheses, so you can see some of the flexibility and limitations in each one of those. So just by each category, one at a time, create the hands, and then look at the parentheses and make those changes to the hand so that you get to know each hand intimately. So here's an example. When you're looking at the cards, sometimes there are going to be two different options. Create each one. So for example, for the mock card, we have 1, 3, 3, 5, and you can use 2 suits with this type of hand. There are 2 options, and this is just an example of the hand using the suits interchangeably. So you can see dots with cracks, cracks with bams, and bams with cracks using the opposite numbers. So just play with the tiles so that you can see how each hand can be so different, even though you may realize that the same tiles are being used, the same number tiles are being used, but you have flexibility in the suits. So for example, when some people learn the game, they think that the colors on the card indicate which suit to use, and that's not how it works. So for example, on the National Mah Jongg League card, you see letters, numbers in blue, green, red. Those colors do not dictate which suit to use. Like green does not mean bams. Red does not mean cracks. Blue does not mean dots. That's not how it works. What it means is that when you see a change in color on the card, that just stipulates that you need a change in suit in your hand. You get to choose which suit it represents. That's why these 3 examples are all valid, because we choose what the suits are for any given hand, and the color on the card, we get to decide how those relate. So create the hands in every different way until you understand the shape and pattern of that particular hand. And let me just jump to I Love Mahj. Here's I Love Mahj. Once you log in, you'll see the game launchpad. This is where you play with robots and humans. Underneath there's the exercise room. This is where you can practice, including category modeling. You can do by clicking the radio button for make a hand, and you can go in sequential order as the hands are laid out on the card, or you can do a random order. But I'm just going to go in here and we'll just look at the first hand just so you can see how it's done. So you can see underneath the panel with all the tiles, you see 2024 for the current year, line 1, and then you'll see the numbers and letters and colors as it is on the card. Now their white is blue on the card. Just remember, change in color means change in suit. So the colors really, that is the only thing that they denote, is change in color, change in suit. It doesn't have to be a particular color per se. For whatever reason, the league picked red, green, and blue, but it's just that each change in color just means a change in suit. And incidentally, anytime you have winds and flowers, those, sorry about that, Riley, somebody came to the door. Hold on 1 second. They need to, what in the world? Okay. All right, someone just came to the door. Hold on. They're leaving. Okay, so Riley should calm down now. Sorry about that. Okay, so winds and flowers are always going to be the color blue on the card. And then when white dragons are used as zeros, those are going to be in blue on the card as well. So if you look at the first hand on the National Mah Jongg League card, we see 2024. So pung of twos in one suit, a pung of white dragons, which will represent 0, and then a kong of twos and fours in a second suit. 2-4 kongs. So for the first block, you're just going to come up here and pick any 2. So let's just pick cracks. Click it 3 times because you need a pung. And then we're going to look for white dragons, which would be right here. We're going to click that 3 times. Oops, I accidentally clicked it 1 extra. So just click on the tile to make it go back if you make a mistake. And now we need 2-4 in another suit. So we picked cracks. So let's pick a different suit. Change in color means change in suit. So we'll pick, let's say, 2 dots. So we're going to click that 4 times to represent the kong. And then we'll do the same thing with the 4 dot. So now we have this hand modeled in the 2024 category on the American Mah Jongg card for National Mah Jongg League rules. Here is the first hand. Now it says you could do any 2 suits. So we could remove these. No, Riley. Oh, jeez. Okay, and then we're going to click BAMs. And this is going to be valid as well because you can use any 2 suits. So that is an example of category modeling. We just did 1 hand. Now you could click next hand to go down to the next line, and then you just start over. So we would need 4 flowers, 4 twos, white dragons, and then a single 2-4. And you just click on the tiles to create the hand. We're not going to do that for every one, but I encourage you to do it, especially if you are new to this version of the game. And if you've maybe you just took a lesson and you're just getting started with the game, this is a great exercise to learn all the different hands on the card. It's going to take you a little while to memorize them. It will come with time. But since you play the game with the card in front of you, you really don't need to memorize the card. That's a high calling to do that. Okay, so now the next exercise. Oh, does anybody have any questions about category modeling? This is just where you create every hand on the card, whether you do it online at I Love Mahj using the exercise room, like I just showed you, or you get your tiles out and you do it yourself. There is a difference for some reason. Well, not for some reason, I know why, but when you get your hands on the tiles and you do the exercise, the memory, the pathways that are created when you do hands-on exercises with your own tiles, that memory goes deeper. So you could do either online or in hands-on with your own tiles. I recommend hands-on, but if you don't have a set of tiles, doing it at I Love Mahj is a great option. Or maybe you're on the go, traveling, on vacation, you don't have your tiles. Anytime you don't have your tiles, you can practice online. Okay, so now let's talk about random pulls. The purpose of this exercise is to practice identifying the strength of the dealt hand. So you would get 13 or 14 random tiles, and your only purpose is to arrange them and then identify the strength of the hand. You throw them in and you do it again. Identify the strength of the hand, throw the tiles in, and then do the exercise again. And over time, you will train your mind, you will train your eye to find the strength of a hand. So when you play with people, your decision making will become quicker and quicker and quicker. So we're going to, let me just look here. I believe I have an example. So here we have an example hand. We have a joker, flower, 5-8 in BAMs. Then we have 2-7-9 in cracks, 1-dot pair with 3-4-7-8. So you're going to arrange them in some kind of an order, whatever works in your mind. But typically, if you do it where your flowers and jokers are to the far right, because you can use those with almost any hand. And then winds and dragons can be grouped together. And then your number tiles in suit numerically. You want them in numerical order because that will give you the initial lay of the land. Then you're going to identify the strength of the hand. So in this case, it would be the 1-dot pair. And the reason for that is because American Mah Jongg is a game of multiples. A multiple is a pair, pung, kong, identical tiles. So if you have a multiple in your hand, you want to target the multiple and choose a category that will use most of your tiles. That is how you optimize hand development in American Mah Jongg. So identify the strength of the hand, and then focus on a category that will use most of your tiles. And then, of course, during the Charleston, you're going to choose the tiles you don't need to create a pass that is not going to help your opponent. You want to avoid giving your opponent something risky. In this case, we have a lot of 1, 2, 3, 4 or 1, 3, 5. So and we have 7, 8, 9. So whatever we pass here is going to be a little bit risky. And there will always be some level of risk in your passes. So when you do your random pulls, identify the strength of the hand, and then decide which category you're going to focus on, and select 3 tiles that you feel comfortable discarding in your first pass if you're just going to go into the Charleston for another step. So I'm going to go to I Love Mahj now and show you how you can do it online. If you do this at home, you're just going to get your tiles out, mix them up in the middle, and pick 13 or 14 random tiles and just put them in your rack, arrange them, and then decide what you would focus on and pick 3 tiles to pass. Here's how you would do it online. You're going to now go into Charleston practice. It's the next radio button down. Click Start Exercise. And then you're going to sort by suit. And they sort the tiles when you click Sort by Suit, just like I do. We have a flower, a wind, west-south winds, green, red dragons, and then we have 2, 3, 8, 9 in BAMs, pair 2, 3, 4 in cracks, and then a 5, 6 in dots. So you're going to practice identifying the strength of the hand. Does anybody with us want to opine in chat? Put in here what you would say you would target. What would you target in this particular dealt hand? I'll give you just a few seconds to put in chat what you would target. We're not looking for a particular hand. We're just looking at what is the strength of the hand. What would you focus on? Not picking a hand, but what would you focus on for these tiles? I'll give you 5 more seconds if you want to opine. Nancy says the 2 BAMs. Okay, for the sake of time, we're going to move on. Yes, that is what I would do as well. That's what I'd recommend as an instructor. I would say the 2 BAM pair, because American Mah Jongg is a game of multiples. So if you have a multiple, target the multiple. So whatever we do, we're going to use the 2 BAM. So with whatever is left over, you want to keep as many of the rest of the tiles as you can for the 2 BAM. In this case, we could maybe play something in 2, 3, 4, 5. So I would keep all the consecutive numbers. and that would give us plenty of tiles for passing. Or we could maybe play evens. It's not as strong as 2, 3, 4, 5 because we have far more tiles for consecutive run. So I would say the strength of the hand is with the 2 band and likely consecutive run 2, 3, 4, 5. And I would pass a wind, a dragon, and a 9. So that is an example of random pulls. You stop right there and then you would do it again. So we're going to exit and then we're going to do it again for another random pull. All you're focused on is identifying the strength of the hand. So on this example, we have east, south, red, white, 2 band pair, 3, 4, 7, 8, 8 band pair in there, 2, 8 paired up. Then we have a 7 crack pair and a 1 dot. So in this case, what would you target for these tiles? I'll give you 10 seconds if you want to opine in chat. This one's a little more complicated, or I should say challenging. When you get your dealt hand, if you have multiples, target the multiples. So if we were to do that, we would keep the 2 band pair, the 8 band pair, and the 7 band or 7 crack here. So we have 3 multiples. They don't necessarily go together in a particular category or hand. So because we have 7s with 2s, the only way you can use a 7 with a 2 is if you play addition and the addition category are in one suit. So those really don't go together. But we do have a 4 and we do have another 7. So we could keep all the multiples and kind of straddle either evens or consecutive run with 7, 8 of some kind. Because evens has no 6 for in our hand here, that would be a gap. So I would give myself an option. Therefore, I would keep the 7 crack and even the 2, 8 and see which comes in, evens or consecutive run with 7, 8 of some kind. So the idea here is that you're going to stay flexible and gather for a category. Right now we're straddling categories, evens or consecutive run. It would just depend on what comes in. Then I would decide, what can I give up? What can I pass? I would probably let 1 wind go, a dragon, and then a number tile. So we did a random pull. We identified the strength of the hand. We saw the tiles that could support the strength of the hand, focused on a category or 2, and then identified a pass. That would conclude this random pull. Oh, no worry, Arlene. Okay, so now, does anybody have any questions about random pulls? We can do one more because this one was a little complex. Let's see if we can do another simple one. And these are random tiles. Okay, so now this is a good one. We have, well, they're all good actually because they all test your skills. We have a white dragon, 1, 3, 5, 6, 8, 9 in bands, pair 6, 4, 9 in cracks, 4, 5, 6, 7 in dots. If these were your tiles, what would you target? What would you target? And think about 3 tiles that you would make or choose for your first pass. What would you target and what would be your first pass? I'll give you 10 seconds to look at the tiles and figure it out. If these were my tiles, I would target the 6-band pair. We have a 6-band pair. This one is a little bit tricky because we could do 4, 5, 6, 7. Look at all the tiles we have for 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7. That would use 8 tiles. That's most of the hand. If you think about it, you have 14 tiles here, 7 would be half. We have 1 more than that. So most of our tiles would use 4, 5, 6, 7 of some kind. However, there's some potential in here for 3, 6, 9. So I would hold 3, 6, 9 also. And that would leave us with 3 tiles to pass. And I would even risk passing a white dragon, which is a dual tile. It's a little bit risky, but we're again straddling, and it's okay to do that. It's okay to choose two different categories, but you don't want to spread yourself out too thin. You want to think about what category would best utilize your randomly dealt tiles. I would say we're in between 4, 5, 6, 7 or 3, 6, 9. Both of those, the consecutive run category with a 3, 4, 5, 6 or 4, 5, 6, 7 range, and then 3, 6, 9 would both use 6s. Yes, so that is how you do random pulls. So we're going to stop, and I'm going to go back to the presentation because we're going to move on now to the next exercise. We're going to move into Charleston decision making, Charleston skill builders. If you think about the game, it's a 2-parter, really 3 parts. There are 3 parts of the game. The first part of the game is the Charleston. The second part or phase of the game is the play. And the third phase of the game is the pay. So with the Charleston, it's a big chunk of the pie because this is when you can transform your dealt hand. The Charleston is a powerful part of the game, which is one reason why it behooves you to do as much of the Charleston as you can, because the goal is to transform your dealt hand. So the Charleston, and then the play, that's when you pick and discard 1 tile at a time, and you can claim a discard to make an exposure. It's melding, like in some card games. So that would be the play. And then when somebody wins, you would have the pay, which is also part of the game. The Charleston, the play, and the pay. Because the Charleston is such a powerful part of the game, it gets a bigger piece of the pie. If you harness the power of the Charleston, you can optimize your potential to win. This is when you get that chance to optimize your winning potential. You want to have a good, strong position going into the play. This is one reason why I have so many Charleston exercises on my YouTube channel. The purpose of this first one is to practice decision making at a basic level through the Charleston. Here's how you would do it with tiles at home. Let me just double check. Okay. So at home, if you have a set of tiles at home, you're going to put them upside down on your table and get them mixed up. And then you're going to put 13 in front of you. If you have it with a rack, if you like. So you're going to put 13 in front of you with your rack. And then that is going to simulate your dealt hand. Then what you're going to do is you're going to create a mock Charleston so that you can practice decision making with each incoming and outgoing pass. So you're going to take 3 tiles in rows of 6. So 3 tiles wide, 6 high. That is going to be the mock Charleston. The first Charleston, right across left, then the second left, across, right. And as you're going through these passes, you're going to be taking the tiles from your hand and you're going to put them on the right in the outgoing space, because there's a whole process involved here. So let me show you. So you're going to take your first right out, whatever tiles you deem unwanted, and you're going to put them to the right. Then you're going to take the first right from the incoming column and you're going to put those in your hand. And then you're going to figure out how they can be used, and you're going to continue to the across pass. You're going to pick 3 and you're going to put them in the outgoing column to your right. Then you're going to take the across pass from the incoming column and put those in your hand. And that's the process that you go through. Figure out what you can keep, then find 3 that you don't want and pass for your first left, and then take the first left from that incoming column and put them in your hand. So now we just finished the first Charleston. This is when you're going to need to decide if you want to keep going, because you can stop the Charleston. And if you do, you want to mix up these tiles and do an optional across with just those tiles. Mix them up and then take your 3. That's if you decide to stop the Charleston. But if you decide to keep going, take your second left pass and put it in the outgoing column, and then take your second left from the incoming column, put it in your hand, and continue the Charleston until you get to that last right. Then you're going to do the optional across. So you're going to take all those tiles and put them in front of you, mix them up, choose 3 you don't want, put them out there on the table, and choose 3 random tiles to complete the Charleston. So that is how you would do it at home. I have a video, lots of videos that demonstrate how to do this. And you'll be able to find those instructions when I make sure that there's a link in the video description to the wiki article, so you can see all these skill builders with demonstrations. But we're going to go ahead and do this at I Love Mahj now. So I'm going to go to I Love Mahj again. Okay, Gretchen says, now if I could just convince my fellow intermediate players to not stop the Charleston because they don't know what to pass. That's right. I keep quoting you, Michelle. Thank you, Gretchen. And you're making some slow headway. Very good. Yes, it behooves you to do as much of the Charleston as you can. You do not want to straddle categories or even hands. You want to pick your strongest option and then continue, because you want to be out in front. You want to be the strongest player at the table. And the way to do that is to leverage the power of the Charleston. Okay, so we're going to do Charleston practice again. Okay, we're going to sort by suit. We've got a couple of jokers, a pair of norths, white dragon, 3 bam, 4, 5, 6, 8, 2 dot pair, 4, 8. So with these tiles, what would you target and what would be your first pass? I'll give you 10 seconds to think about it, and then I'll tell you what I would do if these were my tiles. And we're going to go through the whole Charleston this time because we're doing the Charleston modeling. Here's how you do Charleston modeling online. Okay, so here we go. I would target the multiples, north and the 2. So what can I do with a north and a 2? I could maybe do a year hand. So I would keep the white dragon and the 4. There's that concealed year hand. First category, 4th hand down. We could maybe do 2, 4, 6, 8 dragon, 3rd hand down. We could also, since we could maybe do a year hand, I would also hold the 4 bam. And that leaves us with 4 discards. So we cannot keep it all. But here's another thing that we have in here. 2-4 dot, 6-8 bam, 2-4-6-8. So when I'm looking at this, I have the opportunity to do either 2-4-6-8, let's say the first hand in 2 suits, 2-4 dot, 6-8 bam, no gaps. If you have an option for a hand with no gaps and you're in between, like in this situation where we have only 2 clear discards, go with the option where you have no gaps. Because in the even category, and even with, if we did that 2-4-6-8 dot hand with the dragon, we have no 6 dot, but that particular block is a pung. We could maybe use the jokers to fill that gap. I would break up the north to pass defensively and then still be able to maybe play a year hand, maybe just not with wins. We only have north, no other wins. So that would be a huge weakness. So in this case, we have a multiple that just doesn't quite gel with the rest of the hand. So I would break it up so that I can keep my options open with evens or a year hand. And I would not pick a hand until we run out of these discards. Anytime you have discards, you really don't need to pick a hand. So let's let the north, the 3, and the 5 go. Let's see what we get. We got an 8 dot. Now we have a wind here, northwest 3. So we have 2-4-8, 2 pair in there. I would probably let the 4 bam go with one of the winds. This is a little bit risky here, but this is not too bad, even though we have a gap. It's not ideal. We could still play 2-4 dot, 6-8 bam, but we'd have to throw away a pair of 8s. So let's just see how this develops. No keepers. So we're going to the first left now. I would give that north to a different person. Now we could maybe keep the 2 because it is a year tile and it is also a even. We could maybe play the first hand, 2 crack, white dragon, 2 foreign dots. So let's let the dragon go here, the green. Look, we got the 6. No gaps now. So I would give up on the rest of these tiles and focus on that one hand with no gaps. We're going to keep going. We have 5 discards right now. So let's pass 3, 5 with the 8. Because we could still maybe play the year hand. We even have a 4 here. Let's pass 6 with a west. No keepers. Oh, see this right here, I would not do that. Passing 2 dragons, that's very risky. I would probably let one of these go here and pass 3. Let's see that. Okay, so now we have 2 potential hands. We could play the first year hand. We'd have to throw away a pair of 8s. Or we could play the dragon hand, 3rd hand down. We could even play the first hand in 1 suit. So we have 3 potential hands with 4 discards. And I probably would focus on evens and even let that 2 crack go just as a single tile. So this is how you do Charleston modeling. You guys want to do one more of these? We're actually going to do more Charleston modeling. So I'm still going to talk through decision making in the next 2. So let's just do another one. We'll go back to the presentation because we're still going to do Charleston decision making. So for the sake of time, because we want to do gameplay with commentary as well. So let's just keep going. But before we do the next one, I just want to share with you an idea on how to measure results after the Charleston. Once or after you get through, what is going on with my mouse? Hold on, technical trouble here. Okay, so after the Charleston, you want to look at your transformation, whatever occurred, whether good, bad, indifferent. You want to look at your potential to win. And one of the ways that you can do that is to identify the strength of the hand and note how many discards you have. So in this example, we have the ability to play 3 different hands. We could play consecutive run 3-1. We could play flowers with 1, 2, 3 in cracks, or 3, 4, 5 in dots. We could even do let's see, we could do 2 crack 3 bam 4 dot, or something like that. So 3-1 or even 2 for that matter. I would want to use multiples though, so probably 3, 4, 5 in dots with the flower. But we could also maybe play the 4th hand down. We could do 3, 4, 5 in 2 suits, 3, 4, 5 in bams, 3, 4, 5 in dots. That would use 2 multiples. We could even do the 6th hand down. That would be, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 4 flowers. And then we would do, let's see, let me see here, 1, 2, 3. We could do 1, 2, 3 crack with pairs of 4s. You could even do 2, 3, 4 crack with pairs of 5s. We don't have a 4 crack, but there's potential for several hands. Let me see here. 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 2, 3. I think I would call it at that. 3 different hands. So we're in between, and we have no discards because we have all 1 through 5. But there's no way we can keep all these tiles because we don't know what we're playing yet. We're going to be an underdog. We're an underdog. If you don't know what hand you're playing, you're going to be an underdog. And that just means that you need to take a conservative approach to the game. Low risk if you're an underdog. Here's another example. Year number 4, news concealed. We have a pair of east, single north, no south. We need a pair of south. So that's a gap, a pair gap, which is super risky. We need 2, 2, 4. We have only 1, 2 bam. And this is a concealed hand. We can't call anything. We've got 5 discards. Underdog. If you have more than 4 discards, you're an underdog, even if you know what hand you're playing. If you have a gap and lots of discards, consider yourself to be an underdog. Here's another example, consecutive run number 4. Single pair Kong, 7, 8, 9. We would have 4 discards here because we have an extra 7 dot for consecutive run number 4. With 4 discards, consider yourself to be a contender. And you can take a little more risk than someone who is an underdog. 7, 8, 9, single pair Kong. 4 discards. If you have 4 discards, you know what hand you're playing, you don't have any gaps, then consider yourself to be a contender. Here's another example with odds number 1, all 1 suit, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, first hand. We have 4 discards. This would be an example of a contender. Here's an example with 1, 2, 3, 4, pung, pung, kong, kong, double kong, or 2 kongs, 2 pungs, 7-2. Second hand from the bottom on the right. We have 5 discards, but we have a pair we don't need in this case. We might be able to get a joker out of this, maybe. So I would say we could be a front runner on this one, primarily because of the type of hand that it is. This is a hand that I call a hand of least resistance. You can use any number of jokers with this hand. And because of that, because of the strength of the hand, it is indestructible, relatively indestructible. You could consider yourself to be a front runner in this case. Here's another one. 2-4-6-8, 2-4 crack, 4-6 dot, 8 bam con. Second hand down under evens. In this case, we have only 3 discards. This is another example of a front runner. If you have less than 4 discards, you know what hand you're playing, you've got no gaps and few weaknesses, consider yourself to be a front runner. Here we could pung the 4 crack, pung the 6 dot, and con the 8. We can act on every block. That's my definition of being set. We're set, and therefore we are a front runner. So you can take any risk. Because you're in front, you have a strong hand, you can take lots of risks. Your hand can bear the risk. For example, if someone throws a 6 dot as the first discard, you can take it, and I would, because you're a front runner. You want to stay out in front. So I would pung the 6, discard, let's say, the flower. That would be the riskiest tile we have. Then we have only 2 discards. Someone throws a 4 crack and we pung. Discard the west. Let's see here. Oh, I think we're east, so we have an extra discard. So we start by discarding the flower. Then we're left with 2. We pung the 6 dot. Discard, let's say, the west. Pung the 4 crack. Discard the 2, ready to win on an 8 bam. So you can see how quickly you can develop a hand, and this would be the ideal result to be a front runner, less than 4 discards. Even if you're a contender, that's a great result as well. But you want to try to be a front runner. All right, so we're going to go back to I Love Mahj, and we're going to do another Charleston modeling, and then we're going to assess our position. And I'm going to ask you to opine on the position after the Charleston. So we're going to go a little quicker. We have north-south, 3-6 in bams, 2-3-5-6 in cracks, 2.57. With these tiles, what would you target? And what would be your, let's just say, what would you target? What's the strength of the hand here? I'll give you 10 seconds to think about it. Okay, these were my tiles. I would focus on the 2 dot. With the rest of these tiles, I would hold probably 2, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anytime you have mixed suits, you want to hold 4 numbers in a range around your strength, which is the 2 dot. We might be able to use the wins, maybe, maybe not. And we have 3 tiles we can pass. 2 dots. Yep, good, Nancy. Okay, so here we go. This is a little risky, but you build your hand first. That's the priority. You do the best you can with what you have left over, and that would be your discards. Right now we have 4 discards, and we're gathering for 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe with wins. It depends on what comes in. Okay, so we have a 3 now. We could play, let's see, here's a 5 crack too. We have 2 clear discards. So now that we have 2 clear discards, we need 1 more tile to let go of. This is when you pick a hand, because we can't straddle. We need to find our strongest option so we can continue the Charleston. So with a 2-3 paired up, 2-3 in mixed suits, I would play north and south with 2-3. So I would probably let's say the 2 crack go, so we can have a defensive pass there. Yeah, no matter how we slice this, it's going to be a little bit risky, because we could break up the 5 and pass 5, 6, 7. There's risk there. And we even have leftover risk, 2, 3, 5. But you focus on your hand first. Let's go ahead and break up the 5. Since we have 2, 3 north, south, there's no gaps there. Third hand down under wins. Okay, we got a keeper. And I would just keep the wins since we're in that category. And also, I would probably even keep the threes because we could maybe play news concealed, the concealed wind hand with threes. I would pass 2, 5. And this again is where we would need to pick a hand because we only have 2 clear discards. Now, we could pass blind, but I wouldn't. I would rather let one of these tiles go. So for example, I would probably want to mix up the suit a little bit. So I would let the 3 go. So this way we could still play the third hand down, or we could play the concealed hand with 3 crack and 3 bam, and then we would let the 2 dot go. But I think we're closer to north and south with 2, 3. Okay, so we have 3 discards, and I would definitely keep going. You don't want to stop the Charleston if you've got discards and you still need to develop your hand more. I would give up on the concealed hand because I do not pass like numbers. That's like passing a pair, in my opinion. Okay, we've got tiles we can pass, so we don't need to pick a hand per se, but we do have a really good option here with 2 north and south with 2, 3. So here, let's do 8, 5, let's say with a 7. No keepers, and I would pass 3. Let's do, I would probably keep the west and maybe break up the suits a little bit here. 1, bam, 6 dot red. Okay, so we got the 3 back. So now, and the 3 dot. So we ended up with north and south with 2, 3, no gaps. So if we were to do that, I just want to count our discards. We've got 5 discards. So if we played the 4th hand down, what would you estimate the position would be for this player? Underdog, contender, or front runner for this player? Karen says underdog. Yep, this player would be an underdog. Let's say that maybe instead, yep, underdog, Nancy says. Let's say instead we think, okay, well, maybe we could play the concealed hand. We would have a pair we don't need and 2 discards, a pair we don't need, and an option. We have no east. I would still say underdog no matter how you slice it. So that is how you assess your position. You look at your options and you think about how close are you to a hand? Are you an underdog? Are you a contender, or are you a front runner? And that is going to determine the level of risk you can take with the rest of the game. Okay, so now we're going to go back to the presentation because there are some other exercises that you can do, and I'm just going to briefly share those for the sake of time, and that way we can get to gameplay with commentary. The next one is Charleston chain reaction. This one is a lot of fun because it's a way to test your instincts. Basically, you do the same thing as you did with Charleston modeling. So if you do this exercise at home, you're going to do it the same way. And if you do it even at I Love Mahj, you're going to do 2 different exercises. If you do it at home, take a photo of every pass so that you can recreate the Charleston with the same tiles, because you're going to identify the strength of the hand and you're going to pick a plan A and a plan B, and you're going to do the Charleston 2 times. So you want your passes to be identical. Focus on plan A. And at the end of it, note the results. What category you were focused on, how many discards you had, if you have any gaps or weaknesses, what position you would be in. And then recreate the Charleston and then do the same exercise for plan B. And then compare the results. So let's just do this one. We'll do this one. Maybe we'll do them all here. So we're going to do this with new tiles. So here's our hand. We're going to do this 2 times. We have a pair of flowers, south, green, red, white, 8, 9 in bams, 3, 4, 5, 9 in cracks, 1, 5 in dots. For the sake of time, I'm just going to quickly do this as a demonstration. If these were my tiles, I would probably play, let's say, news with dragons. We have a pair of flowers here. We could maybe play 3, 4, 5 consecutive run. 3, 4, 5 consecutive run. Maybe keep the 5 for news with 5s, like numbers. So we're in between consecutive run 3, 4, 5 or dragons with wins maybe. So let's focus on wins and dragons and see what happens. So let's pass 1, 9 with a 3. We're going to focus on wins and dragons. Let's see how we do. Okay, we got a south and a west. We're just going to hold every wind and dragon tile we get. And we're going to do the best we can with what we have left over here. Let's see, we've got 3 5s in there. Okay, here's a south. So let's pass 9, 5 with a 3. Those are all odds. Let's put it even in there. Okay, so we're going to keep going. We're going to do 1, let's say 5 bam with a 2 crack. Still no keepers. Let's do 8 bam, 3 with a 5. No keepers. 3 bam, 8 dot with, let's say, a 6. Still no keepers. Ooh, here's a 2 bam pair. This though, that's pretty risky. I don't think I would do that. I would probably break up the 2. Okay, so if we were to play news with dragons, second hand from the bottom under wins and dragons, or maybe the second hand down, we would have 5 discards with potential joker bait, which is basically where you keep an unwanted pair. We haven't really talked about it yet, but it is a joker tactic. This was a terrible result. So this player would be an underdog, absolutely. So we're going to sort by suit, and we're going to replay with the same tiles. We're going to do the same exercise, and instead of dragons and wins, we're going to focus on 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5. And the other thing we were thinking of is like numbers with 5s. So let's keep the 5 dot and the south. We'll pass the 1 dot, let's say the 8 bam with a dragon. And we're targeting really the flower here. Okay, so here's a 6. Now we have 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's a west. If we're playing 5s with news, we want to keep single wins. Let's let the dragon go with a 9 and a south. There's a 3. We have our first multiple. We have 2, 6, 9 that we can pass without picking a hand. Here's a 2. Now we could do 2, 3, 4. I would keep going, and probably we have 3, 4, 5 flower. I would probably give up the 6. And I would probably even give up these wins at this point, and therefore the 5 dot, because we have 2, 3, 4, 5 with a pair of flowers. There's 2 multiples in there now. So really this 5 bam, I would pull that back and do the 5 dot. So we're passing 1 of each suit. Okay, no keepers here. So let's pass, I would still keep the wins. Let's pass 9, 6 dragon. Okay, we've got a pair of 5s in there now. Let's pass 3, 6. We have 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. I would leave those options open. I would not pass that. 3, 6 dragon. No, I would not do that. I think I would break up the 5 or let a wind go. We got the 6 back, but we are trying to leverage the pair of flowers, so I'd probably let that go and pass 3. Okay, so the result on this one, we're an underdog because we have 5 discards with even with joker bait and an option. So even that other one was a little better than this one. It's just interesting what you can do with these tiles. As a matter of fact, let's do it one more time really quick and see if like numbers with 5s would have a better result. So now let's keep 5s. We know that 5s we're going through because we've been through the exercise, but let's just for grins go through just so you can see that you can make just about anything work in American Mah Jongg with the right focus. Here's a south. I guess we can keep it for a bit. Okay, so no, we're looking for 5s and wins. 5s and wins. Here's a 5. Now we have a pair. Let's do going 8, 9 with a 3. There's a west. 9. Let's do a 4 with the south, let's say. Okay, no keepers. Let's do, actually, that's going to be risky. Let's do a 2, a 9, and then let's let a dragon go. Since we have a pair of flowers, I'd rather leverage the pair of flowers than focus on single dragons. There's another 5. And now we can pass 3. 2, 3, 6, 8, let's say. We could maybe even, let's see here, do one of each suit. And we ended up with joker bait with the 3 crack here. 4 discards with joker bait and an option. So this like number hand was a little bit better. So you can do this exercise at I Love Mahj with the same tiles, each with a different focus, so that you can learn how your decisions impact the progression of hand development. Each decision you make during the Charleston impacts the next, which is why this is called Charleston chain reaction. Okay, so now let's go back to here. Charleston force is just where you pick a category in advance and you make a hand work. So you can just cut up strips of paper with each category on it, draw 3, and make a hand work. We kind of did that with that last example with like numbers with 5s. We made it work. That's another really great skill to build. We're not going to do that for the sake of time. But what we can do next is Charleston sprints. This is where you force yourself to make as quick decisions as possible. This is a great skill to build if you play with people who are better than you and you want to make quicker decisions. It is a really good way to help you manage your anxiety, because a lot of times the reason why people hesitate during the Charleston or slow down their decision making is because they're not confident. If you struggle with confidence with the game, that's okay. It's natural. The quicker decisions that you make, though, the easier it's going to get when you're trying to build that particular skill, even if you make a mistake, because you will see that you can recover from a mistake. So this exercise is really great for that reason. And it's also a great exercise if you ever want to play in a tournament where you've got to make quick decisions. You go through the exercise and you do 3 different Charlestons with the modeling, and then you have a stopwatch on your smartphone or a stopwatch, and you time yourself and then take an average. For beginners, I like to say if you can make decisions in under 4 minutes, that's a good goal. If you're an intermediate player, 3 minutes, and if you're an advanced player, under 2 minutes. Make decisions in under 2 minutes. Once you can make decisions in under 2 minutes, you could probably play comfortably in a tournament. All right. And I think that pretty much does it for this presentation, we're going to go back to I Love Mahj, and we'll play with robots now. But before we do that, I just want to say the reason why skill builders are so important is because you can optimize retention, develop problem solving, improve decision making, and gain confidence. This is the purpose of skill builders, and it works. If you do these exercises at home, whether with your tiles or at I Love Mahj, you will optimize retention, develop problem solving, improve decision making, and gain confidence. I guarantee it. All right, so let's play at I Love Mahj now, and we're going to play with robots. So we're going to exit. Does anybody have any questions about these skill builders? We're going to play with robots. And we're going to talk through all that we went through with the decision making, skill building. Okay. No, I joined the wrong thing. I don't want to play with people. I want to play with robots. What happened? Let me see. Launch the game. Are you open to receiving? No, I'm not. I want to play with robots. So here we go. Okay, here. I don't know why, but it was trying to find. Oh, thank you, Wes. Okay, so here we go. We have a pair of dragons and a pair of nines. Target multiples. So whatever we do, we're going to try to use the nines with the dragon. And there is an offsuit dragon hand in 369, second hand from the bottom. We even have a flower there. We do have another dragon here. I'd probably keep it. Although without other nines, we're not going to really be able to use it. We do have a lot of 7, 8, 9 in here. Look, 7, 8, 8. A lot of 7, 8, 9. Potential for 3, 6, 9, or maybe like numbers with nines. And that's where I would stop. I would stop so that we have tiles we can pass. Now we could even maybe keep that 3 crack for 3, 6, 9, but we have no 6. So I would just let it go and see what comes in. We have a 7. That's a new multiple. Anytime another multiple forms, reassess. So in this case, I would say 3, 6, 9 off the table. We actually have a hand in here. 7 crack, 8 dot, 9 bam with a pair of flowers. Third hand down on the right. And that would leverage 2 pair. We would have to let the white dragon go. So because we have a 7 crack pair with a 9 bam pair, I would probably let the green dragon go. And then pass a wind, a 3 with a dragon. That's a little bit risky, but there's going to be some risk in every pass. You want to hold tiles for yourself and then do the best you can with what you have left over. We have 7, 8, 8, 9 of some kind in here. I would want to keep them all to give myself options. Okay, so now we have a pair of Wests in here. We have 2 clear discards. Without any other wins, I would just break up the West. We could maybe play the second quint with a pair with the West and then the 7, 9, the pairs there, but we have no jokers. So I would not focus on a quint with no jokers right now. Okay, so we have no keepers. We seem to be getting wins though a lot. So wins are going around. So I would probably see if that trend continues, because we might be able to do something with 7, 8 or 8, 9 and wins. Maybe. Let's just see. Let's give up the 8 crack and just see what happens here. Here's the 8 bam. 7, 8, 9. We have 2 tiles. I would just let the wins go. Again, out of here. we kept getting, we keep getting that. Okay, so we have 7, 8, 9, lots of options in here. At this point, we've got 8, 9 paired up in BAMs with a pair of 7s as well. So I would probably, let's see, we could still do 7 crack, 8 dot, 9 BAM. We could do, let's see, we could even maybe do the 9, 9, 8 pair hand, third hand down on the right. I would not pass 2 dragons. I think what I would probably do here is let the 9 dot go so we could pass 3. See if we can get another keeper. We did not. So we have, let's see, technically we have 2 joker bait and 4 discards. If we play 7, 8, 9, that would be our only hand with no gaps. The other thing we could do is maybe just keep the multiples and see what develops. We have 4 discards before we have to pick a hand, and that's what I would do. I would just not pick a hand and gather. And I would not call that because we don't know what hand we're playing. So I would even probably let that go at this point because there's already 1 down. And we have, and there goes another one. So I would opt to hold every 7, 8, 9 and just let the dragons go. Okay, so here's, we have 5 through 9, no 6. So this 5 dot, probably not a good keeper. 7, 8, 9 is what we're focused on. 7, 8, 7, 8, 9. We don't need wins. Their wins are going down, and the dragons as well. Need wins. Nope. Okay, so I like to discard year tiles if I'm not using them because I don't want to ever pay for the big year hand. Right now there are 2 souths out and 2 norths, and all the white dragons are out, so no one's going to play the big year hand anyway. The big year hand is this last singles and pairs hand. So nobody wanted the 1 BAM. That can go next. Okay, so here's a 6 dot. I would now probably hold the 5 because now we have 5 through 9 since we have a 6 in here too. Here's a 6 dot, and of course we're not going to be able to call it. We're just going to let it go. We have 2 discards before we have to pick a hand. Oh, we were an underdog on this one, 100%. We don't even know what hand we're playing still. There's a 5. I would just keep all 5 through 9. And I like to discard year tiles. 2, 4, and a 4. Yeah. Okay. So here we could call that, but since we don't know what hand we're playing, I wouldn't advise it. You would call discards when you know what hand you're playing and you've got no gaps. Here, we don't even know what hand we're playing, so we're going to ignore it. We might even just play defense on this hand. Okay, now we have a 7. So we have a connector. So we have 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have lots of 7, 8, 9. I'd probably let the 5 BAM go because it's isolated. There's nothing to connect the 5 BAM to what we have here. At least the 5 is connected to the 6 with dots. And we have a lot of 7, 8, 9 of some kind. So we have 2 discards before we really need to pick a hand. Okay, so there's pure exposures over here and to the left. We got a joker. Okay, now we have all 5 through 9. We're not going to be able to keep all these tiles, though. We probably need to pick a hand in order to reveal discards so we can keep going confidently. We do have a hand in here with no gaps, a couple. We've got 5, 6 dot, or I'm sorry, 6, 7 dot, 8, 9 bam, right here, 6, 7, 8, 9. We would be able to leverage 2 multiples this way. That would leave us with 4 discards and joker bait, which I'll demonstrate as we go. The other thing we could maybe play is 7, 8, 9 with flowers. Also no gaps, using 2 multiples. You want to pick hands based on the number of multiples that you can leverage. You want leverage. So I would probably focus on 6, 7, 8, 9, second hand from the bottom in 2 suits, because that's a hand of least resistance. You can use any number of jokers there. With the 7, 8, 9 mixed suit Kong hand, third hand down on the right, we need a pair of flowers, and we only have 1. But even with those 2 hands, no gaps for both, we have 2 discards. So we can continue gathering tiles, and we now have identified 2 discards that we can let go of. Now this player to our right, they have 3 exposures, so they're getting ready to win here. They need a 3 crack. 5 crack. We don't need that. Should be okay. Now here we have to make a decision. There's a 6 dot out and a 6 dot just got discarded. If we're going to play pung, pung, kong, kong, 6, 7 dot, 8, 9, ma'am, we need to call that right now. And I would, because we have a hand with no gaps, and it is a hand of least resistance. So I would use my only joker here to pung, and then gather and let these right here all be discards. The 7 crack would be joker bait, which I'll demonstrate. So we're gonna call that for a pung. So now we're gonna discard the flower. And that's why you don't want to hold flowers if you're not going to use them. You want to discard them early. Okay, now let's see. 4 dot, we could let that go. Okay, so we have they got Martha. So we did okay. We ended up figuring out what hand we're playing, but for the most part of the game, we were an underdog. So let's keep going. Okay, here we go. We have West, green, red, singles, 4, 6, 7, 9 in BAM, singles, 1, 3 in cracks, singles, 2, 6, 7 in dots with a pair of 2s. What would you target with these tiles? Two dot. Yep, 2 dot. That's where we start. We have no 8, so I wouldn't play evens. I would probably play 2, 3, 4, 5 of some kind. 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe the dragons could come in handy. I would probably try to pass. Let's see. We can't do 1 of each suit, but we could probably let the wind go here. Maybe even let a 6 go. 9, 6. Okay, let's see. Oh, there's a new multiple. Okay, this is an interesting change. We have 6, 7, 3 7s. The 7 BAM pair is much stronger than the 2 dot, because we have 6, 7, no gaps in the run, versus 1, 3, 4. It's a bit disjointed. I would go with 6, 7 rather than 1, 2, 3. So I would even keep the dragons here. Probably let the south, the 1 and the 4 go, and focus on 6, 7. There's a 9. I would let the east go, the 1, and then probably even break up the 2. There's a 7 and a dragon. So now we're going to keep going. We've got, okay, now Agata. Agata, our player on the left, stopped the Charleston. And that's okay. We've got tiles we can pass here. I would probably play like numbers with 7s and dragons. We even have our pairs here. So that was a really great result. even though we only got to do one round of passing, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. We're going to pass 3. West with a 2 and a 9. Okay, let's see here. This 5 crack. So we have 5 discards. We're an underdog. We can't call that 7, and it's just coincidental that it's a tile we need. That's okay. We can use jokers. And we just got a red dragon. So we could pung our dragons. This is when I like to discard year tiles, so I would start with the 2 crack. So if the dragons go down, we could pung. We're going to need a joker for that 7 dot. Year tile goes first. There are 2 white dragons out, so I'm thinking probably nobody's playing a year hand. We're playing the second hand down under any like numbers, so we're not going to do anything with that 7. We need a pair of 7s to go with our red dragon. Oh, there's 2 jokers up for grabs there. A flower. I would not be distracted by a flower. However, if these dragons don't go down, we could maybe switch to the first like number hand with set all the 7s. Let's discard the 3 crack. Oh, we might need to change anyway because now we need 2 jokers for that 7 dot. Oh, here. We can use jokers. Let's go ahead and let's pung. Oh, I should have discarded this flower. Okay, let's pung. I'm going to let the flower go now. So we've got our pairs. At this point, all we need are jokers. 2. We need 2 jokers. I would say we're probably a contender because we need jokers. It'd be really nice to get a 5 dot. Yeah, these robots win very quickly at I Love Mahj. Okay, let's play again. Oh, we've got 3 jokers. Okay, now we have 2 bam pair, 3 4, 2 3 4 dragon. Here's a pair of 6s. We have a lot more to work with. 2 3 4. Maybe even we could do a year hand. I would break up the 6, pass the 1, and probably this 2 dot, and play. Actually, you know what? We could play the first year hand here. 2 dot, 2 4 and bams. Since we have no 5 or 1 for the second hand down under consecutive run or the 5th hand down, let's focus on a year hand, but we'll keep the 3 bam in case consecutive tiles come in. So let's let the green dragon go. We'll leave our options open still, but I think a year hand looks pretty good. We got a 4 and another 4 with the 4 dot there. So now we can let this 3 bam go. I would play the first year hand. Let's just use these jokers to separate our tiles. So 2 dot, white dragon, 2 4 and bams. First hand under the year. No keepers. Oh, you know what? This 7 would be a good discard here. Maybe even with the 4 dot. Okay, no keepers. So let's do west, 1 with a 5. At least they're separated. Okay, no keepers. We did get this 5 bam. Let's just hold that. Maybe the 3 will come back. It did. Okay, so now we could play that second hand down now because we have 2 3 4 5. If we were to play that, we would be set. Because we've got our pair 2, bam. We could pung the 3, bam, pung the 4, Kong the dragon. We have 2 discards, maybe even this 2 dot. If we were to play the year hand, let's just see how set we are for that one. We could pung the 2 dot, pung the white dragon, but we could Kong only one of the 2 4. Therefore, I would let the 2 dot go and focus on the consecutive option. It's a little bit, it's 1 tile stronger. 1 tile stronger. We're set, actually. So we would be a front runner. We're a front runner on this one. So I would pass 3. We got a keeper. We have only 3 discards. This was a fantastic result. We're a front runner. We're ready to go on every block. The only weakness we have here is the 5 bam. That needs to be a pair. This is the second hand down under consecutive run. So let's let the wind go. We'll let the dragon go. We don't need winds. So our only weakness is the 5 bam. So we just want to keep an eye on the discards. We don't need flowers. Looks like nobody else wants them. Okay, there's our first tile that we can call. We're going to pung. Nobody wanted the 3 dot. We'll ignore that. That's an interesting tile. But we're committed with a 3 bam pair. I would let it go. We're committed with our 3 bam pair. There'd be no way to use that with what we have. We're still in really good shape for that second hand down. Just be mindful that any pick could change your hand. So think about it for a minute, or not a minute, for a few seconds. Okay, we're going to Kong. And because we're a front runner, we can take the risk. We're going to Kong with 2 jokers. Now we're ready to win on a 5 bam. Ready to win on a 5 bam. And we just entered the middle game after 1 pick in the middle game. That was a really great result after the Charleston for this hand. This is not a guarantee that we're going to win, but we are the likely winner, I would say. Now we have an exposure, so we can see a little bit about what at least one person is doing. And they've stopped the Charleston too, by the way. We don't need that. We need a 5 bam. We're just going to take that joker and discard a joker. We might be able to get to a pure hand. That would mean a hand with no jokers.
7.
So 6 bam, 7 bam are out. We need a 5 bam. I'm a little concerned that maybe Agata is playing east and west with Kongs. They may have our 5 bam. It's not out yet. So they could be doing, let's say, 4, 5 in, let's say, dots, 4.5 bam, maybe. Somebody could be doing 4, 5. Someone might have our 5 bam because there's 6s and 7s out, 6, 7, 8, 9 even in bams. I see 3s and 5s out. I don't think anyone's doing little odds. Here's a 5 dot. 5 dots are out. I don't think anyone's doing like numbers. So this will be interesting to see. Who has our 5 bam? We do not need a joker. We need a natural tile for this pair. This is the challenging part of being ready to win on a pair tile. There's nothing we can do except wait. This is not an ideal wait. We are ready to win, but it's not ideal. We are in the end game now. Last wall. Okay, now we know they don't need a 5 bam. So the player across from us will probably discard a 5 bam if they get it. Now that player might have our 5 bam. There may be 2 players with our 5 bam. I'm surprised. These robots, they're formidable. 5 crack, 5 crack. Okay, so they don't have our 5 bam. Maybe it's Wes. Wes. It's Wes's fault. Shady. 8 dot. Do the bots cheat? No. Okay, now they're playing evens. Our 5 bam is in the wall. What? Where's our 5 bam? There it is. Mahjong. Stinkers. Okay, so the player Agata, east-west with 4-5. They do have our 5 bam. All right, anyway, we got it. You're convinced Agata has mirrors? Mirrors? What does that mean? All right, let's see. Ooh, look what we have here. Oh my gosh, we have a Pung of East and 2 pair, consecutive pairs, 3-4. So this is a good example of what do you do when you have multiples that don't really go together. Pung of East, the only way we could really use a Pung of East with pairs of 3s and 4s is the third hand down, or no, fifth hand down on the right. 2, 3, 4 with East and West. 2, 3, 4, East, West, Kongs. Oh, okay. So, but we do have still in here other 2 3s, 2, 3, 2, 3, 4. So I would probably let the 7 dot go with the dragon, and then I would let something else in here go. Since we have a 3 dot, 4 dot, I'd probably let the 3 bam go, because if we get a 1 crack, let's say, we could maybe switch to 1 2 crack, 3 4 dot. However, if we get a West, I would play the 5th hand down under wins, East West Kongs with pairs 2 3 4. Right now we have a gap, a huge gap, West Kong. That's big. It's not ideal. Okay, so now we have a 2 4. We got the 1. Look, we got a 1 crack. And we have a lot of 4. We have all the 4s with a pair even in there. 2 3 4, 1 2 crack, 3 4 dot. And East without a West is useless, unless of course we're playing a quint, which we're not, because we have no jokers. We could maybe switch to a year hand here. So I would probably keep the dragon. We need to make some choices though. I would break up the East and focus on 1 2 3 4. Probably let the 4 bam go because we have a 2-4 in dots, 2-4 in cracks. We do have some potential for the big ear hand here. We do have 1-2 crack, 3-4 dot. That is a hand with no gaps. We have to let something go. I would not pass a pair. And I would probably go with something where we have no gaps. 1-2 crack, 3-4 dot. So I would probably let no, I would not do that. That's almost as risky as passing a pair. I think what I would do is let the dragon go. That's even a little bit risky because that's a year tile. Both of those year tiles. You just do the best you can with what you have. So here we have a 4 dot pung now. So I would continue to break out these easts one at a time. We have 1-2 crack, 3-4 dot, no gaps. Second hand from the bottom on the right. Anytime you have a hand with no gaps, that is going to be your strongest option. So that's what I would focus on. There's a keeper. And we have tiles we can pass. Oh, wait, we just gave them an east. Okay, so now I would give them the 8 crack, a 4 crack, and the 2 dot. Because we have 1-2 crack, 3-4 dot. We gave them an east. I don't want to give them another wind. Although we could maybe keep the 2 and give them a south. Because we gave them an east. Let's do that because we do have still potential for a year hand a little bit, but 2, 3, 4 of some kind might come in one suit. Okay, so we got tiles we can pass, no problem. And it came in 1, 2, 3, 4. So now we have an option. This right there, that's a little bit risky, but we have 2 ways that we could play that second hand from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4 in 1 suit, or 1, 2, 3, 4 in 2 suits. I don't think I would risk it just the same because we're in between. We could Kong the 3, 4, but we have nothing to do for the 1, 2 yet. We need to build there. So I think I would play conservatively and pull back one of these tiles.
Correct.
And now I think I would go ahead and pass fully. It's still a little bit risky, but maybe we'll get a keeper. No, we didn't. Okay, so we have 3 discards and a hand with no gaps 2 ways. So I'd say we could consider ourselves to be an underdog for now until we are down to maybe 4 discards. Right now we have 5. East, 6 dot, 3 bam, and we cannot keep both 1, 2. We've got to give up one of these sets. We can't keep them both. It's either 1, 2 crack or 1, 2 dot. So with that, we would have 5 discards, which makes us an underdog. Oh, well, now that changes things a little bit because we could maybe play the first hand. There's 1 through 6 or 2 through 5, 2 through 6. Let's let the wind go. I'd still say we're an underdog. 3, 4. No, we don't need 3, 4. It looks good, but it's not helpful without more 5s. Okay, now that is an interesting tile because we could play 2, 3, 4, 1 suit Kongs or 3, 4, 5. This is the 3rd hand down under consecutive run. Okay, so I'm going to use this flower to separate our tiles. We really just have 1 discard before we need to choose what we're playing. We're just going to continue to gather. Two bam, no, we're looking at cracks and dots. So that would be our mixed suit option. but we need to pung. So that doesn't impact our hand too much. We don't need a 5 crack at all, or the 6 really. Same thing. It doesn't really impact us too much. If we play the first hand, we need a pair. And if we play, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, or 2, 3, 4, 5, we would need a pung. So that does not impact us at the moment. We definitely don't need any 8. Now we're impacted. We're not ready to call. So these I would discard because this impacted our hand. I would focus on 1 suit now and let the 2 crack go. I don't want to hold wins. Okay, now 1 bam, 2 1 bams are out, so we don't need to be concerned really, but I am mindful of it because we have a 2 bam pung and a 3 bam pung. This 1 bam, maybe they'll want it. I don't know. Clearly nobody wants the 2 crack. I think I would rather let this 1 bam go just the same. They could use jokers. Okay, so they must be playing a year hand over there. Okay, so now we need to make a choice. Since we have pung pung here, we could Kong and still play 2 different hands. Third hand down, all Kongs with a pair of flowers, and then we could even play the second hand from the bottom in 1 suit. So either way, I would call and Kong. Now we'll let the 2 crack go. So we could still play the third hand down if we get a pair of flowers, but we could also play the second hand from the bottom. Five was just thrown. There's a joker. 2, 1. 1 joker. 1 joker's open. Okay, now here's a 5 dot. So I would probably play 3, 4, 5 1 suit Kongs now that we have a pair in there. We could still do 2 dot pung, 3 dot pung, which we have, 4 dot Kong, 5 dot Kong. Either way, we still have discards. I'm thinking the 1 dot can go. I would let that go first. Now this player across from us, 2 dot with a white dragon pung, they've got to be playing that first year hand, and the 4 crack went down. We've got all the 4 dots. They're suffering, I think. I don't think they could be playing anything else with a pung. No. So now 2 dots are out. So I would let that go and focus on 3, 4, 5, 1 suit Kongs with a pair of flowers. We do have a vulnerability with that flower. So I would still hold on to that 2 for a little bit because we still could maybe play 2, 3, 4, 5, pung, pung, Kong, Kong, second hand from the bottom on the left, because we can use jokers, which we would need 2. Yeah, there it goes. I would let it go at this point, probably. It's kind of our only out. I don't want to hold an 8. One could be playing like numbers with 8s.
7, 5,
Okay, now this 3 crack, I would let that go. We're coming into the end game, so we want to be mindful of discards that haven't been seen yet. We have 3 discards we don't need. I would say at this point, we're probably a contender We could Kong the 3 dot, but we need help with that 5 dot, and we still need a flower. If we can get that flower, I would say it would confirm a contender position, but we're probably on the heels of the contenders, really, because of the flower. The flower is the kicker for this hand. Okay, we're not ready for that. We just got it. Dang it. Okay. I want a flower. All right. It's right here. Can we get a flower, do you think? No, but we got a joker. That joker we need for the 5 dot. No flowers are out. Oh no, one here. One flower I see. We got it. Okay. So now we're ready to win with 4 picks left we need a 3 dot. Joker will do. Somebody just folded. 5 bam. I don't see any 5 bams. This player to our left, they need a 5 crack, not a 5 bam. I don't think anybody needs this. Hung of dragons. I'm going to let it go. Oh, darn. I was hoping someone would throw the 3 dot. This player to our right has it, but we also could have won maybe with a joker. This 8 crack was still open. So we were ready to win, but the player to our right was playing like numbers with 3s. Okay, let's squeeze in one more. Yep, one more hand. Okay, we have a couple of jokers, east and south, green dragon, 1 7 in bams, 2 3 6 9 in cracks, a 1 dot with a 5 dot pair. So whatever we do, we're going to use the 5 dot. That's the only multiple that we have, a pair. So with a 5 dot pair, we do have some 5 6 7 or little odds. It's pretty weak though. 1 3 1, maybe 2 3 4 5 3 4 5 6. We have no 4. We need to be able to pass. So let's whittle some of these out and see if we can create a decent pass. 5 dot pair is what we're trying to keep because, well, we want to keep the multiple. We're going to see if we can use 2 3 4 5 or maybe little odds. Okay, so we have a 3 bam. Here's a 1 dot pair now, 1 crack. So clearly we've got a little odd hand of some kind. And I wouldn't pick a hand. We've got discards, so you don't need to pick a hand. We're just going to, let's say, discard east, green, 6 crack and focus on little odds, 1 3 5. Okay, we have no keepers there. Let's see. We can keep the dragon for a minute because we could maybe play the second hand from the bottom under odds. We would do 1 3 bam, 3 5 dot, red dragon Kong. We have a gap though, no 3 dot, but we can use the jokers. So let's see what we get. We got a 3 bam. Here's a 4. So that changes things a little bit. We have 1 2 3 3 4 5. I would keep going. Since we have no 3 dot, I would let the dragon go. And then now we need to whittle some of these out because we can't keep it all. I would say the one crack can go. We have 1 3 band, 5 dot, 1 dot pair. We could maybe try for the concealed hand, but that's a pair gap. We have no 3 dot. We have 2 3 crack. I think 2 3 crack, 3 4. Oh, see that right there? That is risky. 3 4 1. I'd almost rather break up the 1 and then let those go later. Let's just see what we get here. 1 bam. Okay, and we could pass those just fine. We did end up getting the red dragon back. Let's pass the 1, the 9 crack, 1 crack, 9 bam, and then let's let the, let's see here, 3 crack go. Okay, no keepers. So we can pass 3, south, 1. There's a 9 crack pair. I'd let the 4 bam go and keep the 9. Maybe we can get some help there. Okay, so here's what I would do. I would play a gap hand. Gap hand is not ideal. We're playing, if we could maybe play that second hand down, 1 3 3 5 pung pung kong kong. You can use any number of jokers. We do not have a 3 dot, so that's a gap. That's not ideal. But because we have a pung of 1s, I would consider that. I would still keep this dragon though, because if we do get a 3 dot, we could play that second hand from the bottom. Regardless, we have 2 discards that we don't need, so we really don't have to pick it. We can just keep it all for now. The 9 crack probably will go pretty soon because we're in between and we have a gap. Let's just see, and there's a 5 now. Let's just see if we can pick up a 3 dot somewhere. From the wall. Oh, there's our tile. We can't take it. We need to Kong. So we're going to ignore that for now. Although, let's see here. If another 3 dot goes down, we could pung for that second hand from the bottom. We do have no gaps. So if a 3 dot goes down again, it would impact the second hand down because we need to Kong there for a 3 dot. So if another 3 dot goes down, let's pung and we'll commit to the second hand from the bottom because we can use jokers for the dragon. We have an extra 1 bam if we decide to play that hand, but at least we have our pairs. So let's just keep an eye. Oh, now here, we could potentially pung that for the second hand down. We could let it go though. It's the first one. That doesn't impact our hand. Joker. I would play little odds, 1 3 5, second hand down now that we have 3 jokers. We could leverage the 1 bam pung. We could pung the next 3 bam that nobody wanted. If a 3 dot goes down, which also nobody wants, we could Kong and we could Kong the 5. So I'd say, even though we're playing a gap hand, we're a front runner because we've got jokers and it's a hand of least resistance where you can use any number of jokers. That's the beauty of this kind of hand. 2 pungs, 2 Kongs. Another joker. I wish we had time for a quint. I would switch to a quint, but because of what we have here, if we get an east or a west, we could switch to a quint. Second hand down. There's the east. We could quint there. Let's see, there's a 3 crack out. We're 1 away from being set on a quint. We'd have to throw away a pung of 1s though. Maybe the 3s could go and the 1 would be the quint. We're set on the quint if we do it that way. Kong the east, quint the 5, quint the 1. Let's see what happens. Don't need flour. 4 jokers. This is kind of exciting. Can we do it? Should we do it? Would you go for the quint or would you go for little odds? Somebody could be playing East and West with Kongs. Joker, we're going for the quint. We've got 5 jokers. Oh, we could have Konged there, but okay. Oh, oh, come on. Oh my goodness. Where are the tiles? Come on now. Someone's playing East and West, I bet. Oh my goodness. Oh, come on. Red. Wow. Okay. The second track is in a pump. Okay. Finally. Quint. Okay, now we're on a double weight. We could win with a 1 or an East or a Joker. So 2 multiples ready to win on the quint. Oh, 1 dot. Oh my goodness, they got it. Oh, East and West up here, stinker. Okay, that's gonna do it for this live stream. They had our East West. There's still 1 in the wall though. All right, would you have gone for that quint or would you have played little odds? We have 5 jokers. 5. 1 joker was in the wall. Don't play the coulda, shoulda, woulda game. It is what it is. Move on. It was fun, a fun journey to try for that last hand. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. I hope you found those skill builders helpful. I will make sure there's a link to the skill builder wiki article in the video description so that you can look at it. It was fun to try. Yep. Thanks, Donna. Okay, Marion, sorry about that. I probably mispronounced your name there. Thank you for being here. Evelyn, thank you for helping monitor the chat. And I appreciate the feedback or the participation in the live stream while we were focusing on hand development, identifying your position. That's important because it tells you how much risk you can take when you play the game. All right. Anybody have any questions? We'll be back again tomorrow for the Obsessed Let's Play live stream. Wednesday will be for the Fanatic or members only Let's Play live stream, Fanatics and Obsessed tier members. If you want to know more about channel membership, go to my YouTube channel and click Get Involved, and you can participate in 2 additional live streams during the week. We do all kinds of fun things in there, including gameplay with commentary, of course, because it's all about Mahjong. Let's see, then Wednesday or Thursday we'll be back for Beat the Pro. If you want to try to beat me at the table, you would participate in that particular live stream. And then we'll be back again on Saturday or Friday night for Simply Social Let's Play live stream, where we just hang out and do gameplay with commentary. So that's what we have going on for this week. Also, if you haven't heard, I am doing a Mahjathon 24-hour live stream on the last Saturday of this month to benefit St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Please go to my website, click events, and then fundraisers to learn about that event. If you have any questions, let me know. We'll see you later in the week. Yes. I'll go ahead and sign off. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. Click the little gray bell if you do. That way you'll get notification for when I post new videos, and you won't miss an opportunity to learn a new strategy or pick up an insight to the game that could give you an advantage at the table. Between now and the next video, may all your picks be keepers.